What's going on, everybody? I am C. Lou, and I am your host. This is CamCast Radio. I am so glad that you are with me as I am embarking on a new journey here with Second Chance Music and Production. Originally, this podcast was solely on audio, but thank God now I'm able to stream via video. So I'm excited about that. This is an introductory episode, just to, so you can kind of get to know me a little bit about the background of the podcast, where we are and where we're going. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I am an original North Carolina native. I'm originally from Henderson, North Carolina, and I have been all around ever since. I lived in Maryland for a little while, went to the military, got stationed in Mississippi 5 years. Was in Guam for a little bit, Okinawa, Japan for a little bit, Kuwait for a little bit, came back to North Carolina, went to Florida, went to New Jersey, went to Tennessee, went to Kentucky, went to Pennsylvania, and then eventually now I'm back in North Carolina. But while I was doing all that, I was working various jobs, but one thing that I've always had is music. And one day I'll talk about my journey with music, but as you know, like I said, this is CamCast Radio, so music is a huge factor in what I do. So every episode we're going to have some discussion, and then we're going to have some music, and that's kind of where I started with the first season. I actually started back in 2020. I want to say it was around April, May-ish, or maybe even June. But I started back in 2020. During the pandemic, it had just started, but the Lord was dealing with me about not using my talents. I'm not going to discuss why this episode, but I had been not doing music for about 5 years when I started the podcast. Yeah, literally 5 years. And this is somebody who grew up singing in choirs. I started studio work back in high school, and that was, I'm about to tell my age a little bit, but that was around 97, 98 when I started doing studio work. It was with the pastor and his son out in Danville, Virginia. So, there was that. And then, when I hit college, I knew some people who knew some people in the industry, and they were like, man, you're good. You should submit a demo. So I did. But I never followed through on, I did the demo, but I never submitted it because for me, music, meant more than just a record deal. It always has, because I've always, been under the impression that my gift is for the Lord, so I wasn't about to sell it out, and that's when I was young, like I think I was 19, 20. So there was that, doing music then. Ended up going to the military, had put music down there, but I picked it right back up. I had a friend named Gordon Clark who discovered me. I was singing at a recreation center. It was like it was for the soldiers. This is when I was in the military. It was called Stingers. And you go there, there's like pool tables. What else was there? Movies, you could watch movies. They had the video games on the PlayStation. It was a chill place, and they had a little restaurant. So, and a bar actually too. But there was an outside area with the picnic tables. It was covered, and we were out there singing. And this guy Gordon from Mobile, Alabama, he was actually a Marine at the time, discovered me. He was like, "Yo, I gotta get you in the studio," So I was like, "All right, cool," whatever. So, the day that we were supposed to go to the studio, he was coming to my room. He was on the way to pick me up to take us to the studio. And I was in my room with my boy, and we were freestyle rapping. Now, mind you, he heard me singing. So when he gets to the door, and we had our door open. So he gets to the door and hears me rapping. It's like, wait a minute, you rap too? It's like, yeah, But anyway, that's the homie. He's actually a very prosperous, probably, I think he's multi-millionaire Forex guy. He's got his own worldwide academy right now. So I kind of thank him for bringing me back into music during that period of my life. Started doing music with him. Got out the military and dropped it again. Now, mind you, in the military, I was doing secular because I was actually on a hiatus from God, so to speak, during that time. But it was a cool experience for me, though, to travel the world and to be doing music in different cities and states in the United States. Like I said, music has always been a part of me. It's always been there. But when I got out of the military, it was more than me getting out the military. It was also me coming back to God, So in doing that, I was just like, I'm not doing music anymore, because why? Why would I do music? And when I first originally did gospel, I originally was doing gospel hip hop, and I had an ensemble. But when I discovered when I was in the military, it was kind of real self-righteous. So I ended up, hearing a lot from God during the military. That was the funny thing. Like during my straying period, he was telling me a lot about myself, a lot about the church, and I just would be annoyed. Like, I'm not trying to, but he was, even prophecies that I had spoken, people were coming back and telling me it came to pass, and I was annoyed at that too, because it's like, oh yeah, you didn't want to hear me then. But like I said, I didn't want to get back into gospel rap when I got out of the military, because I just felt like, well, one, I've been out the word for so long, hadn't been studying or reading, so how would I do that? But once again, the Lord got on me about using my gifts and talents, and I was like, man, all right. And when I did it, though, it was crazy because I discovered that my flow was actually better than it originally was when I was doing gospel rap the first time. And I was like, wow, I was able to somehow be more relatable. And the word is in you when it's in you. And that's what that showed me in working my gift. It showed me just how connected to the word and to God I still was. But I actually, because of the things I had been through, I was more relatable, because I was like I said, I was real self-righteous when I first started. Didn't know it. I was just young and zealous. But the Lord showed me, because during the military years, like I said, I was doing music. So, I'd be in the studios, and a lot of the studios that I went to is also, you had your thugs and your drug dealers. So, and I wasn't that, never tried to be, but when I say the hood gravitated to me, that's what it was. Like, everywhere I went, man, people loved me. But God would always whisper in my ear, it's not you, it's me. And so, like I said, these people would gravitate to me, and he would just speak things to me about, these people, what they're going through that I had judged. I hated the idea of people that sold drugs back in the day, because of things I saw in my own family. So I kind of despised it. And because of the hurt and the pain it brought, but through music and being in the studio in the hood, and me having this affiliation with like drug dealers, like God he humbled me, but he showed me where they were in life. And it made me a more relatable person when I began to get back into the gospel rap industry. So, like I said, I got out the military. I started doing it again after God dealt with me. But I didn't understand the purpose. And God really, this was around 2010 when I asked this question, like, but what am I doing it for? Like, I had learned all this stuff about the truth about the hip hop industry. Oh, G. Craig Lewis. I used to listen to him a lot, and that kind of made me want to put it down, because I discovered, how evil the industry was, and even in the gospel industry, how evil it was. So just once again, I'm like, what am I doing this again for? Like, it seemed to be no point. But God started showing me stuff about in the Bible, how about music and what a prophet is, and that's when he really affirmed my office as a prophet. I'm not gonna get into all the details with that, but so that kind of kept me going with music then. Meanwhile, life is going on. I'm having my ups and downs, and it eventually got to a point where somebody reached out to me from the industry. They claimed to be A&R personnel for Dallas Austin. Now, anybody who knows music, the music industry, knows who Dallas Austin is. He's produced for literally probably everybody, pretty much, and that's worldwide. So this guy claims to be his A&R, but I'd had an encounter with the Lord that morning prior to that, and God told me to be true to him, and through that encounter I had that word with me to be true all throughout the day, and I'll tell the whole story on that one day. But he had dealt with me so strong, and I didn't know why. But when I got that phone call, the more that got taught, the more I understood why he was impressing that I be true to him. So I basically turned down a record deal just to be true to the Lord. And quite frankly, after that point, life went straight downhill. And it's crazy because I'm thinking a big blessing is coming, because I actually had turned down the prospect of millions just for God, and I'm thinking, hey, here we go, success and stardom or whatever, God about to come around the corner with the counter offer, and it didn't happen. And this was 2010, end of 2010, going into 2011. I ended up losing my apartment, lost my car, which in turn caused me to lose my job, and it just kind of sent me on the run. And once again, still seeking God, but just kind of in a place of being lost. And like from there, like I said, once I lost this job and this car, that's when I ended up moving to New Jersey. New Jersey didn't work out for me. Then I ended up going to Florida, chasing after a ministry and destiny, and that didn't turn out the way I thought it would. And God sent me to Tennessee briefly, and I ended up there. That didn't turn out the way I thought it would, and then so I ended up in Louisville, Kentucky. But in Louisville, Kentucky, that's when I kind of was like really done, like with church and everything, and because of what I had experienced from other places. But once again, music was there. So there was an incident where, not an incident, but basically I was working a job there, building my life again, and thought everything's gonna be cool. I'm getting my feet back on the ground, got me a nice little job, saving up for a car, and end up getting fired, and I gave up. Like, I pretty much was like, man, I'm done. So fast forward, let's pause right there, because I actually, in that moment, in that place where I quit, I actually ended up winning an internship through the NFL and Van Heusen, the clothing line. I ended up getting an internship with them, and I'll give that testimony another time. But that was a moment where God really just showed me how quickly and how high he can elevate you in a moment of despair. But like I said again, at this time all I had was my music, and I literally had told God, I'm done. I'm just gonna do music, and whatever happens, happens. But now we can fast forward. I ended up, Kentucky didn't work out. I ended up in Pennsylvania. Got into a marriage, and long story short, I just ended up, because of the things I was dealing with, I ended up not doing music at all for 5 years. And that's what 2020, that's when I guess the Lord had enough, and he kind of dealt with me about some things about myself. And so I got back. Not only did I get back into the music, but he kind of put it to me to do the podcast as kind of like a way of, as an outlet of creativity, to spread the word and to also create music. So that's what the original premise of the podcast was. I would have a topic, and it would be like related to something in the world, but I would tie it in biblically, and I would teach about it, and then I would have music that I literally created. Also during this time, I did an EP called Verses. Actually, it was an album called Verses, and basically I took a verse out of the Bible, and I would write one verse, and I would write, rap, record the beat, record the song, and then I released it on social media as just, you know, to share, but then I ended up compiling it into an album. So all of that was going on in 2020, and then 2021 I left the marriage in Pennsylvania and came back to North Carolina and been doing music off and on ever since. But recently I got back into the podcast. You know, I was podcasting off and on actually too in 2021, 2022, but adjusting and dealing with, you know, healing, and just, you know, still trying to find God, and then just stopping that again. It was like, you know what, I messed up my life too much, you know. But once again, God steps in, reminds me of who I am and my purpose, and just began to open doors for me. And now here I am at Second Chance Music and Production in Greensboro, North Carolina, where I serve as the executive producer, which I'm thankful to God for that. Thankful to my engineer in the back in the booth. Say what's up. Say hello, Pastor Taylor.
What's up? What's up, everybody? Second Chance Music.
Yeah, great guy, man. I thank God for him. He offered me this opportunity to be the executive producer, and then he offered me a little bit later the opportunity to do this podcast. So here we are today. You know, I met him actually through my wife, my new wife, because she's working on her album, and it's going phenomenally. We already released one single called Your Love, and also a prophetic prayer track, and it's amazing. It's actually getting a lot of traction for having not really been promoted the way it could and should be. And we're doing more on that as we continue to get ground and record more music. But that's been an awesome experience, coming in here, experiencing the presence of God when we come to record, because that's what we're doing. We're doing God's work. But like I said, I was offered that through relationship, through just coming in, working with my wife. And now, like I said, here we are doing CamCast radio. And like I said, working for Second Chance here. So what I'm going to do right now, we're going to pause and we're going to play, I'm going to play one of my favorite songs that's been produced here, and that is His Blood by MBA. I believe it means my brothers always. If I'm wrong, y'all forgive me. But we're going to cut to this song and we'll be right back.
That I may live eternally, washed and covered in His blood. I'm a child of the King of love. Sins erased and I'm in grace. I have a new life. His blood covers all of my sins that I can't live again. His blood covers all of my sins that I can't live again. His blood covers all of my sins that I can't live again. His blood covers all of my sins that I can't live again.
I plead the blood over my life, hey, and my family's life too. And in whatever situation, the blood covers that too. We overcome by testimony and the blood of the Lamb. We ain't taking no L's here. Said I am covered. It is His blood that covers me. It washes and cleanses me when it's snow. I'm covered. it does.
His blood, it covers all. It covers me, it covers you. His blood, His blood. I thank you for the blood. His blood, His blood, His blood, His blood, His blood, His blood.
All right, that was NBA with His Blood, one of my favorite songs from Second Chance Music and Production. Just wanted you guys to hear what we're working with, just, skill-wise, production-wise. Everything is good over here. So then do a little shameless plug. If you want to get some work done, if you want to record your podcast like we're doing here, come on through. If you want to record your single, we actually do have a single special for the month of September. $300 for production, 3 hours of 3 hours of recording, and the actual mixing and mastering. So that's a steal, because production itself can be $300 or more. So you're kind of getting a great deal. But anyway, I digress. Where we're going now with CamCast Radio, who knows? I want to talk more about the kingdom and how it relates to culture. I want to talk about relationships. I really want to get into relationships, but also from a biblical kingdom standpoint, because it needs to be. People are out here, divorce rates are higher than ever. I would dare say, now this is a guess, because I know back in the day when I was in the military, it was like the rate was 50%. So I would imagine it's probably more now, because people have only gotten worse and worse according to the word, and we see it. So with divorce rates being high and people not, people always say the dating pool is a cesspool. I want to try to bring some light to that. So we're definitely going to talk about relationships, and we're going to talk about the arts and entertainment, music, but not to just be talking about the gossip that's going on, but to bring and shed light on what this stuff means in the kingdom, what it means to the world. Because as I was taught by the late Apostle Otis Lockett, that when you lack the knowledge of the purpose of a thing, abuse is inevitable. And there's a lot of abuse in the entertainment field. Not talking about SA or physical, but abuse of the use of talent. So that's one of the things I want to delve into. What else? It's just so much more. And I want your questions. I want to talk, to the audience. I want to hear what you guys want to talk about. I want your questions. So I am going to open it up to have questions. So you can send them to clusound@gmail.com. Again, that's clusound@gmail.com. Any questions you have, maybe even suggestions for podcast episodes, I'm open to that, because I want to be, I don't want to say a man of the people. I'm a man of God first, but I also want to be relatable in everything that we do, and I want to address the people, because the people do have they have things that they need to hear, and they have questions, especially when it comes to the things of God. So that's what we want to do with this podcast, but we always want to add some music. Gotta have the music. Like I said in the beginning, it's about the music. So we're going to have some music for you to enjoy. Independent artists, preferably, to be honest, Christian artists, rappers, singers, whatever. Send in your music to clusound@gmail.com. And if I select to feature you, I will definitely contact you and tell you, what episode, and so you'll know, and I'll promote, from there. But we're going to have a good time, but we're also going to learn. We're going to be uplifted. We're going to be informed. but this is CamCast Radio, and this is, you know, this is what it is with me. Music, good chat, good talk. I'm gonna bring my engineer in back there every now and then to the conversation, so be on standby, all right?
I'm on standby, I'm ready.
That's what's up, man. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. We are going to be back, I believe, next week with another episode, so stay tuned for that. I plan on talking about addressing some biblical misconceptions, a few things that have been preached that are not necessarily true or need to be readdressed from another angle. So looking forward to that. And again, we're going to have music. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Second Chance Music and Production,
Second
of course.
Chance Music.
You heard it. You heard it. Second Chance Music and Production is my sponsor, one of them. Also, Miss Keisha Lovely Austin is also my sponsor. That is Onyx Urban Media Group. You can check her out. I believe it's Onyx Urban Media or OUMG.net. She has a few websites. She has the radio. She has the magazine. You guys can look her up on Facebook. Check her out per the link that I gave you. But yeah, these are my sponsors. I thank you for being a sponsor. Thank you for your help and all that you do to bring this podcast to pass. And listen, it's going to be great. But before we go, I just want to leave you with a little bit of a motivational moment or inspirational moment to encourage you, because we are really living in some crazy times. When you look at things that are going on in the world, things are getting pretty bad out there, but I just want to encourage everybody to hold on to God. You know, Isaiah 41:10 says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Don't get out of the hand of God in this season. Continue to hold to God's righteous right hand. Because like I said, times are getting hard, but God has promised right here in this word. He said, don't be dismayed. And he said, that he will strengthen us because he's with us. So having said that, hold to God's unchanging hand. And I have a song called Hold to God's Unchanging Hand that we're going to play right now. And it's by yours truly. All right. Until next time, this is C. Lou with CamCast Radio.
Government quakes, but God said that he would be our hope whenever he shakes. That's Joel 3:16. Now switch it over to John. Those who believe in him will not perish. My hope is upon the one Messiah whose words are akin to hammers and fire. That's chapter 23, verse 29, Jeremiah. His word has taught me only his word is a word that is bond, cause only the word of his power can power us on and power us down. See, my job is to polish the crown. That's bring glory to the king and spread his message around. Cause when his power starts shaking people's hope to the ground, in him is where the only true glimmer of hope will be found. So put your hope in the things only eternity brings. That's love, joy, peace, and righteousness, and faith in the King, Jesus Christ, the one that holds the keys to your life. Put all your troubles in his hand, he'll put a cease to your strife, for real.